looks like this. And listen, I don't even think Glenn likes me. I've written some things over the years that have really driven him crazy about his ownership of the Timberwolves. But you look at
he doesn't step into your world, which says a lot about him.
Exactly. He has never told, he's never sent word that I can't write about the Timberwolves. I can't be critical of the Timberwolves. He saved the Timberwolves. He invests heavily in the Timberwolves, regardless of results. He invests heavily in the WNBA team, the Lynx, and Cheryl Reeves just raves about what Glenn does for their organization. He's been great for the Star Tribune. And on top of that, we have put out a good product. We have upgraded our hockey writing, which has been a big boost for us. But we try to put out a good product and we have great people on all our sections. We have great photographers. We didn't get rid of photographers when everybody else is getting rid of photographers.
Yeah.
It's a real news organization.
Yeah, they don't have the night desk.
Yeah.
And what I mean by night desk is that a lot of newspapers have like a global desk now, where the Strib has not gone to that. And so, like, if you don't know, it's like, say Gannett owns like 15, 20 different newspapers, USA Today, Denver Post, I think, or maybe I'm wrong, Tennessean and things like that. They have one desk that houses, like at the Sun Sentinel, like everything after I left went to Orlando to be edited, and you can't have a world like that. But and again, I'm not a business person. I'm extremely layman when it comes to this point of view. But the one thing about Glenn Taylor is that he, as you said at the outset, he's a billionaire. So a lot of these companies, it's like they are not making enough money. Where I don't think that if all of a sudden the Star Tribune doesn't make as much as Glenn Taylor would like, that he's all going to strip it down because they're not making quote unquote enough. And
the other thing is that like Alden Capital, also they own St. Paul, they also own Denver.
Okay.
These companies are hedge funds.
Yeah.
That's
what happened to us, right?
Right.
At the Strip.
Yeah, when things started going south when we got bought by a hedge fund. And they care about quarterly profits.
Yeah.
As soon as you go down the quarterly profit, then you're not looking for overall quality.
Right.
You're not looking for long-term plans. You're just trying to get clicks or whatever it is. So thank God for Glenn Taylor.
Yeah, no, and the other thing, as you said also, is that he doesn't, like, I remember when he bought the team, I was like, oh my God, I bet the wild space is going to be cut.
Right.
In lieu of Timberwolves. He doesn't do that. He essentially, I think he lets his daughter
basically
run it, right?
runs it, and she's been, and I don't know her,
right.
But talking to people at our place, they say she's been great.
Yeah. And when I say run it, not like she's just kind of the point person between Taylor Corporation and Klingensmith and Renee. So,
exactly.
I don't know how we got on this subject, but
it's the off season.
Tronk.
It's the off season. We're meandering
bad
when we know it. Tronk very bad. From Brett Maloney, what do you think the biggest weakness is for heading into the season for the Wild?
Probably like more not so much physical stuff on the ice. Like, I'm not going to say like forwards, defense, scoring, goaltending. Like, I think mindset. I just think that what I always get concerned about with this team is that they're sort of tired of each other, tired of the grind to get into the postseason, knowing in the back of their mind that they're not good enough to get it done when it matters. And so you do wonder if that eventually harms them in the season, especially as other teams get better. So that would be my biggest concern coming into the year, is that other teams, at least again, as always on paper, and we say this every year.
Yep.
Like, I'm not trying to freak Wild fans out, because every year we're like, this team got better, this team got better, this team got better, and the Wild didn't, and the Wild are always in the playoffs, and those teams aren't. So, Anthony LaPancha, you're right on that. But
Brandon, cut that out.
Where to me, you just wonder if eventually you have all these quick end of the year disappointments, and then you have an off season where all this stuff was built up that they even thought that they could potentially get, bold moves, and it doesn't happen, and that all of a sudden you come into this season and that eventually harms them. But they always seem to rise above it. I mean, last year could have gone a freaking haywire. Parisi gone. Game 3, you lose Foligno, Coyle, and Niederreiter, and the fact that they continually figure out a way to overcome all that is insane, and it says a lot about their mental makeup. But I do think that mentally, I always go back to that Holla quote a couple years ago when he said, we're all tired of this. Like, eventually, I just think it's going to kill them. And so that would be my answer to that question. So I don't want to say to Brett that goaltending's the weakness, or they don't have enough scoring, or they're not big enough, or they're not physical enough, or their defense, or whatever. Like, I think it's more kind of the intangibles.
Interesting. From Nikolai, was it weird having players talk to you about them being in trade rumors, or is that typical amongst reporters?
Well, it's definitely not typical amongst reporters, but I wouldn't say weird. I mean, over my career, I remember, I mean, Nick Schultz found out he was traded because of me. Sean Burke, Rob Niedermayer. I mean, that's just kind of happens. But yeah, I mean, this was, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's the day and age of social media and all this stuff. Where I mean, there were guys that were being rumored around that did, usually it'd be a phone call years ago, then a text, then it became text message. Now it's like direct message on Twitter or Instagram messages. One player Instagram messaged me questions on him about a month ago, and it was like, it took me a while to even know that existed. Like, I just didn't know where to look for it. And then all of a sudden, like, I realized I didn't respond to him in a week because I didn't even know it was there. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of it's always awkward. There's no doubt about it. But
and just to peel back the curtain a little bit too, I've also, when I covered the Twins and the Vikings, especially the Twins, because you have more access in baseball and it's a little more informal. I would have players asking me what they thought was going on in the trade market, and I'd have them sometimes connect me with their agents. I mean, there's a lot of information sharing, and it goes both ways.
I got a GM in the league yesterday texted me asking, what do you got for me? What's going on in the league? Todd White, who used to play for the Wild, Curtis Foster, those guys were always big and, hey, what are you hearing? That's those type of thing. And now I go on Todd White's radio show in Ottawa. How about that?
That's so funny.
He was just down, and he was here. I missed catching up with him, but he was in Minnesota with his kids. They were in some sort of showcase up in Blaine for a while.
Cool.
About 2 weeks ago. But that's as I've always said to fans, and hopefully that's kind of the value of this podcast, is there's so much that goes into a story that fans never get to see, that you just, it's kind of
there's so much you leave out because you have to.
Oh my God. I mean, the amount of stuff that goes into reporting on a story, it's insane. I mean, trust me, it's like, the whole Zucker stuff the other day, 2 hours before it was done, it wasn't even in the realm of closeness. And then all of a sudden they just finally, with the deadline, came together. That's the way it works. But there's all that stuff that you hear behind the scenes. I mean, that story, the amount of texts and calls and emails that, that lead to you just being able to tweet out they've had positive talks, looks like it's going to be 5.5 and done. The average fan will never know. And so that's kind of the cool part of the job. It is what I love the most about the job, and that's all part of it.
This is a 50-minute show so far. Should we keep rolling?
Sure.
Should we start rolling it down?
Crap. I'm just out for a walk.
All right. Let's go from. Let's see, Andy Habiger. I think I got that right. You've referenced it a bit. What, in your opinion, should be the 2 power play lines now?
Okay, yeah, let's end the clock. No, I'm just kidding. Andy, that could have been any question, and that was going to be the joke.
Yes.
Too bad it wasn't a little more hard hitting, and then it would have been a lot funnier.
Well, we'll take your word for that.
God, I'm so I'm really not thinking about
the Wild. We can table that.
Yeah. Why don't we table that to where I could actually give you an informed answer instead of off the top of my head, because I'd rather actually write it down on a piece of paper and give it to you. So, do you want to be in charge of tabling that to the August 8th show?
I'll forget. So let me put it this way, Andy. Please resend.
What we should do is have WhizKids put it in the cloud for us.
Ooh, WhizKids will put it in the cloud for us.
And then Fixology scrub it off the cloud.
and we will wear twill as we walk to these stores to talk to them about
We haven't killed this joke, have we?
No. Have we ever not killed a joke?
Yeah. I almost wish Jared from Dulono's was sitting here right now to see, this podcast is actually pretty funny.
He's allowed to listen to it,
Yeah. So.
All right, I'm going to say my thank yous. Then we're going to get Michael telling funny stories about his house. You are excused. If you want to leave the podcast now, you are excused. I think we've covered the hockey, but we do want to thank Dulono's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis. We give you the address one more time, 118 North 4th Street, 4th with a numeral, 612-767-9494. Huge delivery area, great pizza, happy hour, lunch, all that stuff. WhizKids.tech. TwillMN.com, Fixologyrepair.com, and Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Tell me about Because you know what? I'm starting to house shop a little bit too, because my wife got a job an hour north of here, so we might have to go find a medium. Of course, I don't work for the Athletics, so I'm not to go buy my own personal mansion like some people I know.
Please. So right now I'm trying to build a house contingent on me selling my place, and hopefully, and we've had a good amount of nibbles lately, so I'm feeling more and more optimistic about it. If you want to buy a condo, call me.
I'm going to charge you for advertising.
Yeah, I know. So I'm at the design center the other day. And do you know about this? So when you build, let me just give you a little synopsis. So at first I was thinking, I want to buy a new condo in Minneapolis, but they're so expensive. And I mean, it's just crazy. Like the new buildings, you're just you get the crap, like the stuff I can afford. You're getting like the 1,100 square foot condo on the crappy view, and then you got all these homeowners association dues. And then if you want to go an updated older condo, you got to be worried about future assessments and things like that. And so I'm just I want to see what type of house I can buy. So then I'm like, God, I love places like St. Louis Park, Edina, South Minneapolis, Plymouth, Chanhassen, Minnetonka, all those areas. But right now with the construction and how hard it is to get through Minneapolis and how it's going to be this way for years, I don't know if I want to go west. So I'm thinking I'll go east. So now I find some places east, and I'm looking at all these places that you spend a lot of money, but people have lived there. And then I'm like, wait a minute, let's see how much it would cost to build a home. And I realized that I could build a home for a lot less money than a place that somebody lived, and also in a small condo in Minneapolis. So now it's all right, there's the story on how I got to this situation. So I find this house that I really like that I'm going to build, put money down on it, contingent on me selling my place. They send me the design center, and it is overwhelming, dude. Have you ever been to a place like that?
I have, and I hate it.
I mean,
what wears me out? I just can't make that many decisions.
No, I mean, it is frightening. I mean, I'm picking stuff out to the type of door that you want on the front, to the type of door on the inside, to the type of knobs, to the type of garages, to the type of lights over the garage, to the type of shingles, to the type of freaking exterior tile, knobs in the kitchen. I mean, it is overwhelming.
Yeah, I can't do it.
And I'm honestly having a panic attack, and I'm with my real estate agent on Saturday, and I'm starting to freak out, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I just need to not sell my condo. And then of course in the middle of all this, I get a text message from my mother. Aren't you gonna miss Minneapolis? And I'm like, could you pick a worse time to text me that? Because I am ready to just give away my not move. And so and so that's kind of the story, is that me in this place the other day, spending all this time of the minutia of things I would never think I'd have, type of faucets to type of shower heads it's insane, and it is overwhelming. And I took what should have been an inexpensive home, and I added all these options to it. Now all of a sudden I'm like, well, maybe I need to go back to a condo. And then and then the part of you is like, well, what if the Athletic doesn't retain me in a couple of years and my contract is up? Then you're like, well, holy mackerel, I'm going to be can I afford this place if I'm Ubering? You know, you know what I mean? And that goes to that other thing. All these people that I've had this debate with Dawn Mitchell for years, where she's a TV personality, so she has contracts, and she used to always say to me, how you must have no job, it's got to be no job security when you don't have a contract, because they could fire you anytime. And I'm like, to me, there's less job security if you have a contract, because they might not re-up you.
Because they're going to reevaluate.
Yeah.
The thing about my job, I don't have a contract, but they're not looking at me every year and going, okay, should we keep this guy?
Yes, exactly. That's how I used to feel.
They have the contract gives them a reason to say, do we still want to pay this?
Exactly. And so now all of a sudden I'm in a contract for the first time in life. I'm like, God, is it smart of me to be buying something that if all of a sudden I'm not retained in a couple of years? Or the other thing I don't understand, I don't know with a contract is theoretically your contract's up. But what if they say to you, hey, we really love you, but now we're paying you this. And then you're like, oh, okay, but I bought this house thinking I was getting paid this. And so, like, there's all that stuff going on in my head. So I'm in the middle